This morning, President Trump signed a presidential memorandum. America's membership in 66 international organizations has been cancelled. This means America will no longer be a member of those organizations. And out of those, 35 are non-UN entities. And the White House has given a list of 31 UN-based entities. So this prediction, I think the people who have been listening to me on Sathology since 2021 to 2022, everyone knows I said that America will gradually reduce its budget for the WTO, WHO and all these because it just does not have the money. 25. So this statement by Trump, now what day is this from? It is from February 14, 2025. This was from February of last year. BRICS is dead. So our poor experts, who as usual get fooled by the headlines, started off saying that there is no de-dollarization. Now that Trump has come, de-dollarization will not happen. Even back then, I gave the translation for BRICS is dead. Now look closely. I am going to destroy the Western hegemony, not BRICS. I am going to destroy the Western hegemony that has been established in the multilateral bodies, UN, World Bank, WTO, WHO, and IMA. If they do not fully accommodate the BRICS plus decisions on multipolarity. Meaning, Trump is saying that if the UN, the World Bank, WTO, WHO, IMF, basically all of the international bodies that are involved in US dollar trade, which used to impose policies and cause sabotage within every country to enforce it, the very entities that were created for that exact purpose, those entities, if they do not fulfill the objectives of BRICS plus, then I will completely destroy the entire Western hegemony of these institutions. This is the exact translation I gave for BRICS is dead. The simple direct translation of BRICS is dead was that I am with BRICS and not with the West. So for those who did not understand it back then, our poor experts started taking this headline quite literally. And they started, no, there is no de-dollarization. They all look like cartoons. So it must have become clear to them this morning that this prediction from February 25 came true. So now they do not have to follow any of these laws at all, because these laws that were originally created were specifically to impose the dollar transaction on the entire world. That is why all these international bodies were created, for the purpose of internal sabotage, to create conflicts between two countries and to impose their policies. Now he does not have the budget in dollars to give to those entities anymore. So that global role of a local constable is completely gone. So America is going to get that local constable role, the one from President Trump. So this was the simple translation of BRICS is dead that people understand today, from February 2025 to now. In January 2026, when the real headline came, they must have understood President Trump is with BRICS. The translation of BRICS is dead was meant to be the exact opposite. Okay, let's move on. So from that, Milinji is asking that according to your prediction, sir, in the next few months, the US will be shutting down many of its embassies and will be calling back its staff. Absolutely. This is exactly what will happen. That is what de-dollarization means. This means that America is going to recall all of its extra embassies, its ambassadors, and all its staff from the non-Western countries. Because there is simply no budget anymore. They just do not have the dollars. It is the de-dollarization process. So by 2030, all of their non-Western military bases will also be sold off to regional powers, or some kind of a cooperative arrangement is going to be made. So they no longer have the capacity to bear all of this budget. They just do not have the budget for policing the whole world. So in the next 5 years, slowly and gradually, they will back out of every single area, which is actually very good news, because you will begin to understand that America is going to completely vacate and leave all of the non-Western regions. So for instance, let's take America's new ambassador to India, whose name is Sergio Gore. Now that he is coming, he has also been appointed as the ambassador for other countries in Asia as well. Meaning he's going to handle everything from right here in India. Because they don't have the budget for an ambassador in every country anymore. See? And they don't want to interfere in your region. Okay? So this is what the de-dollarization process is. Now, some people have started asking me, Hey, why on earth would Israel support de-dollarization? So the SBI has now started to support the trade happening between India and Israel using Indian rupees. So the free trade agreement discussion that is currently going on between Bharat and Israel has a very important mention of the fact that all the trade has to be settled in rupees. So cutting out the US dollar from the equation is definitely bound to happen. So some people thought that Israel would never go against America. So those kinds of comments started coming in. People just do not understand this point, that Israel has been supporting de-dollarization right from day one. Those who do not get it, they will absolutely have to understand this thing, which is something I have explained very clearly in my geopolitics book. It's called the two bucket theory. The two bucket theory basically means that one set of nations is given dollars, the one right next to it is given arms, and then they both clash with each other. A hotspot is created from that, and the dollar continues its reserve currency status. So, according to that very same principle, until Palestine actually gets cash dollars, until that happens, America does not supply any weapons to Israel. Until this entire process is fully complete, no weapons are given to Israel. For those who are still wondering how the deep state was formed and that there are Jewish people involved in it, all these confusions are running around in their minds because so-called experts have spread a lot of nonsense about the deep state. So you should completely get this confusion out of your mind. Is there a Jewish majority in the deep state? Yes, there is. Is the deep state pro-Israel? No, it was not, at least not until now. Is the deep state pro-India? No, not until now. Is the deep state now going to become pro-Israel and pro-India in a multipolar world? Yes, but only if it gets a share in the profit. Is the deep state aligned with de-dollarization? Yes, that 93% faction that I always talk about is definitely aligned. Right? America itself is doing it. If America was not actually de-dollarizing, then how would so much gold and silver be refined and then come to Asia? This started in the last 4 years, along with the whole Ukraine script. Who was pulling the dollar's valuation into gold and silver and then passing that gold and silver on to Asia? If you just try to find that out, you will know. So for someone to say that Israel is against America, well, Israel is not against America. The deep state itself is the one de-dollarizing. Are you getting it? So there is absolutely no problem for Israel to get rid of the dollar. It really wants to get rid of it so that Palestine's funding can be stopped and a greater Israel can be formed, and then America can finally get out of that area. Obviously, this is a very long process, but this is the direction it is heading. So the very clear two bucket theory that I mentioned in my 2022 to 2023 geopolitics book is that clear two bucket theory. Its reversal is meant to happen in the de-dollarization process. Okay, and it will be America's own forces that will help Israel to achieve this. And in parallel with that, Israel will de-dollarize and trade in local currencies, and absolutely no one can stop Israel from doing that. Getting it? So is anyone thinking that America will be able to stop Israel? Does Israel need American weapons? Yes, and America will have to give them. America will have absolutely no say in the matter. Will America be able to sanction Israel? No, it absolutely will not be able to. If Bharat does non-dollar trade, can they sanction it? No, they absolutely cannot. Not on that pretext. If they find another reason, that is a different matter. First of all, you really have to understand how the Chinese terminal even came up right next to Haifa. In Haifa, where our port project is, India's, the Adani companies, right next to it, that Chinese terminal was up and running. Trade was going on. How did the Chinese company get its project? And how did the yuan manage to enter the reserves of the Central Bank of Israel, completely removing the dollar? And then eventually, now this rupee will also absolutely go into the reserves of the central bank. So for whoever wants to place blame, just study a little bit about what is actually going on. What has been going on for the last 4 years, you really should study it before making the assumption that Israel does not want de-dollarization. Let's move on. Israel will absolutely sign an FTA and trade outside the dollar, and America will not be able to do a thing. Let's go. Now, this thing that I have just told you is that Trump, there is no budget anymore for international bodies. And by the way, all of these international bodies were created for the sole purpose of imposing the dollar. Meaning, even after working 10 to 10, 12 hours, if a country is not able to earn dollars, so he tells them, go get a loan from the World Bank in dollars, get it from the IMF. Now, when you go to the IMF, then political conditions are imposed on you. Oh, so you have come to take dollars? Okay, I will be the one to decide your trade policy. I will be the one to decide your defense policy. And I will decide your foreign policy. Now, all the countries have understood that these bodies were made only for dollar trade, to impose the dollar. And for any country that does not agree, they were made to sanction and sabotage it, just to dangle a carrot. So gradually, all of these bodies that had established this Western hegemony, President Trump is now refusing to give them a budget. He says, I do not have a budget for the climate. President Trump is saying clearly, I have absolutely no money for nonsensical things like women's empowerment. This is President Trump's official stand of the US government. So the women who are listening to me right now, listen very carefully. That fake definition of women's empowerment that the West went and imposed, causing fights and quarrels in all families across the entire world. They imposed this idea of making a job into a career, all in the name of equality and this so-called empowerment. Now the West itself is coming out and saying that there is no budget for this whole drama. Are you understanding this? How because of the simple printing of currency, people's homes have ended in divorce. People's birth rates have been ruined and people's marriages have been completely ruined. See how the divorce rate in the West got so high. President Trump is saying there is no budget for women's empowerment, not for LGBTQ, and not for any of these so-called climate change tantrums. So you just have to understand the direction in which the West is slowly moving forward. This is the prediction that I have made. That the West is going to declare all women as completely unequal human beings. That they are not even human. It will be declared at that level about women. Those listening to me today, write this down. Go and note it down with today's date. The West is going to declare women as non-human. That they are not even human. That they are at a much, much lower level. This will be officially declared in a few years by the West. Write this down. That which is real women's empowerment, what is announced by India's culture and by India's religion, that is the only real truth. All of this was just a sham to make them satisfy their job model and to get the birth rates to fall. They had set up this entire thing. And now they do not even have a budget for it anymore. They are saying it officially. So which one is it? I think it is the WEF conference or some other thing like that. Trump is saying remove women's empowerment from this, remove climate, remove all this, then I will come. Let's go. So this fake Western definition that was completely wrong was obviously imposed on the whole world by mistake or whatever you want to say, all because of the dollar. Here, Rishi Bagdiji is asking if there is some kind of conspiracy, Taiwan, Venezuela, Ukraine, India can have Bangladesh, POK, whatever. So Rishi Bagdiji has caught onto it perfectly, but the word conspiracy is wrong. Because we had already made the prediction back in November 2021. I mean, 3 months before Ukraine even started. China, Taiwan, Russia, Ukraine, India, POK, Israel, Iran. So we are not going to call this a conspiracy theory. We are going to call it the de-dollarization process leading to multipolarity. All right. That is not what we will call a conspiracy theory. A conspiracy is what you call something when you cannot find any trace of it, or it is just talk in the air. A clear trace of this will be found when Taiwan happens. It will be visible.